1059 QWiK Rock, Lion Country's rock station, Mark the Shark. And today we are happy to be talking with Jamie Rowe of Kalamity Kills. Good morning, Jamie.
Good morning. Good morning, Mark the Shark.
Yeah,
And with a name like Mark the Shark on a rock radio station, what else could you ask for?
you
What
got it.
else could you ask for?
You got it, man. We're going to take a bite out of rock and roll right now.
I
It's a
like
shark
that.
attack, all right? It's a shark attack with Kalamity Kills.
I
All right,
like that.
so you're zooming in from the
I'm,
Nashville, Tennessee area, right?
yeah, I'm in the Nashville area. I'm in a city outside of Nashville called Columbia, but the band is based in East Nashville, so Nashville's our home.
All
Yeah.
right. Now, have you been born and raised? Have you been around Nashville pretty much
No,
all your
no,
life? Or?
no, nobody in Nashville was born and raised.
Oh,
We've
okay.
we've definitely just exploded. I'm originally from Indiana, and
Oh,
actually, believe it or not, I spent 3 months of my life in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So I was in the Keystone. Is it Keystone State, right?
yeah, the Keystone
All right.
State. You
I
got it.
was there for 3 months. I was a resident for 3 months.
All
So,
right,
but
got it.
I'm an Indiana kid, but I've been in Nashville for the last 10 years, and it's home. It
All right,
really is.
so is it the music scene that drew you to Nashville?
No, actually, well, yes and no, but actually, stuff. I also worked for this great company called True Tone, and we make the guitar pedal power supplies for
Oh
a
wow.
lot of people, and a lot of people use our stuff, and that's actually how I made my initial connection, like with the band Korn. They were one of our artists, and I did some advertising for them. I made some advertising for Guitar World magazine, and that I we are probably getting into this way too early, but that's one of the pieces where I ended up connecting with Ray Luzier from Korn, and he played on the Kills tracks,
Right.
quite a few of them. So,
All right. So you have a music background
oh yeah,
in more than just performing, also
oh
the
yeah,
scene stuff. Okay, got it.
yeah, yeah. I
So
love all of it. So,
what was it that got you originally interested in, when did you figure out, hey, this is what I want to do for a living?
man, you know what? I figured it out. Really, it was kind of like just listening to social cues from other people. When I was in high school, we went on this like school trip to a Six Flags amusement park in St. Louis, Tennessee, or St. Louis, Missouri,
Right.
and they had this was before people called them karaoke, but they had the "You Can Be a Star" little vocal booth, and my friends paid to have me do "Wanted Dead or Alive" by Bon Jovi. And so I went there and recorded that, and it really sounded good. And they all pulled their money and had me do "Smoking in the Boys" from Motley Crue. So that was like the
Wow.
only rock things they had on that thing at the time. But and on the way on the school drive on the school bus drive back home, everybody was passing the tape and listening to it. And I was like, people was like, "Man, you should really consider singing." You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and I've been making records in one form or another since I was 17 years old. So I'm a lifer. I've had seasons where I put it down, but I cannot turn off the music I hear in my head. And I'm so stoked to have an opportunity with Calamity Kills to make noise again.
All right. Well, obviously you've been performing, from that young age when you
Yeah.
recorded those songs out at Six Flags. When did you actually stand in front of a live audience and play one of your own original songs?
Oh,
Do you
when I
remember
was seven,
what that was
yeah,
like?
oh, yeah, I do actually. It was the very first time was in a skating rink in Princeton, Indiana, and we played. And I remember I was actually the bass player and the singer, and being so nervous that my leg was like jello, like shaking. I probably looked ridiculous, and there's no video from it, but I remember that. I can think of another time when I was in another band and we were in Europe and we were at this festival outside of Amsterdam. I remember like looking into the crowd and seeing somebody sing along, and I was sitting there thinking, I wrote that song in my bedroom, and
Wow.
we're clear across the world, and they're singing it. So those kind of connections have always been important to me. But I've been blessed and fortunate to be able to perform quite a bit. I've actually performed in 35 countries around the world,
Wow. All
and
right.
and a lot of your audience is hearing my voice for the first time, which is exciting.
Well, let's go ahead and roll the tape forward here then to the band Calamity Kills.
Yeah.
Give us a little background on how you got together, some other influential members of Calamity
Yeah.
Kills. We're going to talk a little bit about your song too. So,
Okay, I'm gonna step up right now. I'm gonna tell you the live lineup. The actual current Calamity Kills lineup is four people. It's myself, Jamie Rowe, my guitar player, producer, and then kind of he's why everything sounds good. Is Jamie Perino. And his background, he actually, believe it or not, he was actually Taylor Swift's musical director for 2 years. He
well,
played for Leanne Rhymes, but he was one of those guys that was always like a Van Halen disciple. So he was always, he's a rock guy at his heart and core. Julia Bullock and Rob Bodley, both are from a Nashville band called the Foxies. And like last year they were featured in Rolling Stone as an artist to watch out of Nashville and everything. It was really cool. But that's our rhythm section. But originally this started off as my solo project, and I recorded the first song for the record, what became the record, and I listened to it and I thought this just does not sound like solo music. This sounds like a band. And then Jamie Perrineau, who was just producing at the time, started getting more involved in his input. And by the time we got to the mixing stage, I remember having a conversation with Perrineau and saying, I think this is more than just me now. I said we should do this as a 50-50 collaboration.
You got
And
it.
he agreed, and here we are. And like I said, we're on your radio station. We have a top 35 Billboard hit with it, with a new song and everything. And it basically just all grew organically out of one thing led to another. There was never this moment like, hey, let's form a band. It's like here we are. It just kind of developed naturally.
Yeah, and what's really cool here at QWiK Rock is we're really happy to be a part of the very beginning of this
Yes.
great journey that you and your band, Calamity Kills, has out there in front. And like you had mentioned, your latest song, your first release, Starry Skies, is on the Billboard
Hmm.
magazine chart. It's on Media Base.
Yes.
QWiK Rock is one of the radio stations that Media Base tracks for airplay. And I'm going to put a little fire underneath you right now and
Okay.
just kind of rock this up to a new level. I just ran off our media base report this morning, and you can see our media base report here for QWiK Rock in State College, Pennsylvania. Calamity
Yeah.
Kills is at number 3
Three.
on the
Wow.
most played. Now, the thing about it is it's on here at number 3. However,
Uh-huh.
it's a three-way tie at number 1 with a couple of other bands, that are there,
Uh-huh.
all getting the same number of spins. So basically, you're tied at number 1, but it's showing in position number 3. So there you are,
That's
Calamity
that's
Kills,
huge and that's
rocking it.
amazing. Thank you so much. Like I said, there's so much music out there. The fact that people are giving us the time of day just rocks my world. And as an artist, you always want to create art and express yourself, but when people respond to it, it's there's no greater feeling.
Yeah.
And thank you as a station and everything for supporting the band. That's we could not ask for more.
Well, I know we know good quality rock when we hear it. And you mentioned earlier on uh the band Corn. Now
Mhm.
you guys, Calamity Kills, now you collaborate with a lot of other bands. And tell us a little bit about Aaron
Aaron
from
Gillespie.
Europe.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, to back up, and I'll cover this part first. I'll get into
sure.
Aaron, but Ray Luzier has played on. He's the drummer for Korn. He actually, like I said, I mentioned I knew his band and knew through management and everything, and made some advertisements for him. But I said one day when we were tracking the record, I was like, I'd love to get Ray Luzier on this record. And I said, let me ask management, reach out, see if they could put me in touch. And Jamie turns around and says, I used to know Ray. And sure enough, he did when he was playing in Leanne Rimes' band, and Ray was in a band called the Nixons. They were in the Dallas, Texas area, and they connected. And so we reconnected. Ray came in, and what I love about Ray is Ray doesn't treat our songs. He's played on 5 tracks now so far, and including the next single you will hear after the Starry Skies runs its course. We have a new single in the bin, and it's going to be coming out. It's called Afraid. I'll give you that. Nobody
Got
else knew that. That's exclusive for you. Nobody
it.
knows that. And Ray played drums on that. But we've had Ray. He comes in the studio and doesn't feel like a studio musician. He makes himself a part of the band, and that just feels really good and stuff. He's become a friend, so it's like we're really fortunate. And I'm one of the few people who have actually heard the unfinished Corn record that they've been working on for the last year and a half. I
All
heard the
right.
raw tracks, so it's pretty cool. Pretty good stuff coming. But we've also worked with Greg Upchurch from Three Doors Down. He's the drummer. He's played on a few tracks. We had my buddy Ace Von Johnson, who is currently in LA Guns. He's a shredding guitar player. He put a nasty, dirty solo on there. And we have Chiarelli from Conquer Divide, which is an all-female rock band that
Yeah.
probably have been played on your station.
Yeah, we've given
So
them airplay. Yeah.
great people. But with Aaron Gillespie, Ray was supposed to play on Starry Skies. Ray had to go to Europe or Australia or something with Korn and couldn't do it. And so I was thinking I'd met Aaron maybe 10 years ago, just casually, but I didn't really know him. And so I literally got on Instagram and direct messaged him and said, hey, I've got this song and want to know if you'd be willing to play drums on it. And thinking, shot in the dark, he's probably never going to read it. It's probably going to go to his spam filter. But he wrote back, said, sure, let's do this. And so he got in the studio and played a stellar drum track. And then we're thinking, you know what, Aaron's got a great voice too. See, I wonder if he would feature on it. Once again, thinking gonna blow us off, but he did. He featured on the track, and because he could personally relate to the content, and and the rest is history, man. So it's like Aaron lives not too far from me, and it's just one of those things that just worked out. But it's not in the traditional sense that you would think. It's not a connection. It was literally a cold call on Instagram,
Yeah,
and it worked.
but it sounds like you've had the ability though to really establish a really neat uh, organic vibe, I guess,
Yeah,
with these other people, and
yeah.
that's probably why it comes out sounding like that in the
Well,
records too.
and there's like I said, there's friendship based in all of it. It's not just, you know, employee situations or something like that. Or so we get together and we hang. You know, I mean, there's as much of a hang as there is recording the music, and we really connect.
All
So
right. Well, so you've collabed with a lot of great people.
yeah.
If I could ask you, who is on your list? Somebody that you would like to do a collaboration with that you have not collaborated with. Who would that person be?
Somebody here local that we casually know would be Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm.
Yeah.
I would
Okay.
absolutely love to get her on a track, but you know, the teenager in me would still love to have like Paul Stanley of Kiss on a track someday, who never features on anybody else's record. So that'd be a real rarity. But I could foresee having Lizzie on a track here, who's a Pennsylvania native.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
And so her and Joe, the guitar player, are just great people, and I would love to get them on the track.
All right. Let's talk about any upcoming tours. Can you give us some information as far as
Yeah.
how people can, get merchandise, music,
Mhm.
info, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, man. Well, the thing is cool, like I said, as you can tell, we kind of started off as a studio project, and so it's morphed into a live band. So now we have the live band together, and we're going to start. We actually just did one acoustic set, a benefit here in Nashville for the Los Angeles wildfires. We did that with Struggle Jennings. I don't know if you know who that is, but we did that with him, and it was really cool. And we've set ourselves up, so we're getting ready to start our rehearsals, and we're going to be touring, and hopefully we land some bigger shows because of our friendships and whatnot. I mean, it would be wonderful to get an opening slot for Korn or like an
Wow.
Alice in Chains or something. We're going to swing for the fences,
Yeah.
like that, but you're going to see us live. There's no doubt.
Got it. Yeah,
And
we've got a lot of great venues here in Lion Country as well. The Bryce Jordan Center in State College, Pennsylvania, First
mhm,
Summit Arena in Johnstown, Hershey Stadium,
yeah,
the Pavilion at Montage. There's a lot of great big venues that are would be perfect. And we're looking forward to seeing Calamity Kills too. That'd be
I'm
great.
looking forward to playing for you.
And one question I do like to ask everyone that we interview.
Mhm.
So we're talking with Jamie Rowe from Calamity Kills. Jamie is the vocalist. Now, do you also play guitars and other
I
instruments
do,
on
but
on the
not
record?
so much. Jamie takes care of the guitars, but I'm predominantly the songwriter and
Yeah.
singer.
Okay.
And Jamie and I have started collaborating even on songwriting. So but yeah, if I'm the voice, and if there's a guitar part that's not too complicated, because I'm not the world's greatest guitar player, I'm in.
You got it. All
So
right. So here's the question. Okay. So Jamie Rowe from Calamity Kills. If you were stranded on a desert island and you only had one album or one CD that you could listen to for the rest of your life, what album would it be?
it would be Cheap Trick's Dream Police record. And because of that, that's a nostalgic thing. That was one of those songs albums I heard when I was a really really young kid, and it was one of those things like back when most of my peers weren't listening to music. I discovered this band called Cheap Trick, and I
Right.
heard them on the school bus and on an AM radio that the school bus driver was playing. And then I actually went at 10 years old. I saw the Dream Police tour. That was my first concert.
That's crazy.
So
Okay, yeah,
I'm a
dream.
I'm
The
a
dream
I'm a
police live inside
yes.
my head. Yeah.
I'm a Cheap Trick lifer. So
Wow.
that would be the one. And and it's one of those records I just don't get tired of.
Wow. That is wild because that's actually something you and I actually shared. One of my first and favorite albums of all time was the Cheap Trick album, Heaven Tonight,
Heaven Tonight, yeah.
that had the original studio version of Surrender, and then of course Live
Yeah.
at the Budokan. And when I discovered those guys, it would have been probably 1978,
77,
1979
yeah.
or so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then went back and bought their first, couple of albums. But I had the opportunity to meet all the original members of Cheap Trick. They played at a local university
Uh-huh.
back in the 90s. And it's when they actually reformed with all the original members,
Yeah.
and got to introduce the show that night. And that was just one of those, wow. When I was a teenager, if you would have told me hey, one of these days you're going to be standing in front of this crowd of people introducing Cheap
Cheap
Trick. You know what I
Trick.
mean?
Yes.
And it's great. But that no, good choice. Now, do you prefer vinyl or compact disc?
I definitely prefer vinyl. Actually, to be honest, I prefer streaming because I love the fact that if like right now, if I
Yeah.
wanted to listen to Heaven Tonight, I can just pull it up and listen to it. But as far as a physical format, I'm a vinyl fan all the way. I love when records are like gatefolds and they're an event. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's not just like the music. But I mean, compact discs are great and thing. But I don't own a CD player at this point in my life. But I
Got
do. I do have a turntable. So
it.
and the Calamity Kills vinyl is supposed to arrive from manufacturing any day now. So
Oh,
hopefully
okay.
we'll
Well, we'll have
get
to
that.
put in a an order for a couple of copies of that.
I cannot wait to see it myself. I'm a fan of that whole artwork and everything myself, even though I did it.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of it and I cannot wait to see it. Cannot wait.
Yeah. So, if listeners and fans want to get a hold of Calamity Kills, they need to get information on tours, just
Mhm.
music information, merchandise, records, all that kind of stuff. What's the best way to follow Calamity Kills?
Calamitykills.com is home base and that has links to everything and make sure people know that it's spelled with a K.
Yeah,
Calamity is
Calamity
spelled with
with
a
a
K.
K. Yes.
So we don't own maybe I should buy calamitykills.com with a C. Maybe I just should. Somebody listening will before I will. But no, but we're fairly active on Instagram too, and it's once again it's Calamity Kills. Follow us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, and like I said, I like to take an active role in all this. So if you hear a comment or something from the band, it's probably me.
Wow.
So
Okay.
yeah,
All right, so you're going to be talking with Jamie Rowe, and again, on behalf of everybody here at QWiK Rock, Jamie, I do want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day. Thanks for getting in contact with us all the way from Nashville, Tennessee,
Las Vegas.
um, and we just want to encourage everybody for all that Calamity Kills music. Make sure you keep listening to QWiK Rock, Lion Country's rock station.